Most men fail no fap, not because they are weak, but because they are fighting their biology without mastering their mind. Think about it for a second. You're trying to resist one of the most powerful biological drives in your system with nothing but willpower and motivation, two resources that are completely unreliable when you need them most. The ancient Stoics faced temptation without pornography, without internet, without any of the hyperstimulation we deal with today, and yet they succeeded where most modern men fail repeatedly. Why? Because they understood something fundamental about human nature that we've completely forgotten in our dopamine-saturated world. Today we live in an environment that is actively designed to destroy your discipline and hijack your reward system. Unlimited pornography available at any moment, hyperstimulation coming from every screen and device you own, social isolation disguised as digital connection, and constant dopamine hits that rewire your brain to crave instant gratification above everything else. The result of this toxic combination is devastating. Your discipline gets systematically destroyed, your motivation becomes completely unstable and unreliable, your confidence weakens because deep down you know you're not in control of your own impulses, and you find yourself trapped in a cycle that you genuinely want to break, but somehow keep repeating. In this video, I'm going to give you the complete Stoic framework for mastering No Fap, not just for 7 days or 30 days, but for life. This isn't about willpower tricks or motivation hacks that stop working the moment things get difficult. This is about fundamentally rewiring how you approach desire, discipline, and self-mastery using principles that have been tested for over 2,000 years. If you want real discipline and mental strength that actually lasts, subscribe to this channel right now, because everything we create here is about becoming genuinely unbreakable in a world that wants you weak and distracted. Let's start with the foundational Stoic principle that changes everything about how you approach No Fap. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said something that sounds simple but is absolutely revolutionary when you truly understand it. You are not disturbed by things, but by your judgments about things. Read that again slowly because this is the key to everything. The temptation itself, the urge itself, the desire itself is not actually your problem. Your problem is how you relate to it, how you identify with it, how you interpret what it means when that urge appears in your consciousness. The classic error that almost everyone makes, and this is why most No Fap attempts fail within the first week, is this automatic assumption. I feel it, therefore I must act on it. You feel the urge, and immediately your brain interprets that sensation as a command that must be obeyed. You confuse the impulse with an order, as if your urges have authority over you and you have no choice but to comply. This is fundamentally a misunderstanding of how your mind actually works, and it's this misunderstanding that keeps you trapped. The Stoic application of this principle is beautifully simple and devastatingly effective. When the urge arrives, and it will arrive because you're a human being with a functioning biology, you follow these 4 steps with absolute precision. First, you stop whatever you're doing and you don't move forward on autopilot. Second, you observe the sensation without judging it or fighting it. You just notice it with curiosity like you're a scientist studying an interesting phenomenon. Third, you name the impulse clearly and specifically. You say to yourself, this is an urge, or this is a craving, or this is sexual energy arising. Fourth, and this is the most important part, you create distance between yourself and the sensation by recognizing that you're not the urge, you're the one observing the urge. The mental phrase that changes everything is this: this is an urge, not a command. That single sentence creates a gap between stimulus and response, and in that gap lives your freedom. The impact of this shift is massive because you go from being completely reactive, where urges control you and you're just along for the ride, to being an observer, where you can watch desires arise and fall without being compelled to act on every single one. You reclaim your agency, and that's when real discipline becomes possible. Now here's something crucial that most people completely misunderstand about Stoicism and about No Fap in general. The Stoics were not advocates of repression. They were not trying to pretend that desire doesn't exist or that you should feel ashamed of your biological drives. What they taught was mastery, which is completely different from suppression. Repression creates internal conflict and eventually leads to explosion, while mastery creates internal harmony and sustainable control. Here's the key concept that changes everything. Sexual energy doesn't disappear just because you're not acting on it. Energy is energy. It's a force in your system. And like any force, it has to go somewhere. If you don't consciously direct it, it will direct itself, usually in ways that sabotage you. The energy needs to be redirected with intention, structured into productive channels, and used as fuel for building the life you actually want instead of being wasted on impulses that leave you empty and regretful. This is the concept of transmutation, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can learn. You take that same intense energy that would normally go into sexual release, and you consciously redirect it toward things that actually build your future. Physical training and athletic performance, business development and creative projects, deep study and skill acquisition, or any form of creation that requires sustained focus and energy. When you transmute sexual energy instead of suppressing it or wasting it, you suddenly have access to a power source that most men never tap into. Here's the message that needs to sink in deep. Energy wasted on impulse cannot build an empire. Every time you give in to that urge, you're not just having a momentary pleasure, you're literally draining the fuel you need to create something meaningful. The Stoics understood this at a level that modern self-help completely misses. They knew that self-mastery isn't about denying yourself pleasure. It's about choosing greater pleasure in the future over lesser pleasure in the present. Most men try to control urges consciously, using willpower and decision-making in the moment when the temptation is strongest. But here's what they don't understand. Your habits, your automatic responses, your default behaviors, all of these live in your subconscious mind. You can have all the conscious motivation in the world, but if your subconscious programming is still running the old patterns, you're going to keep falling back into the same cycles no matter how badly you want to change. If you want to reprogram the way you think about discipline, wealth, and self-control at the deepest level, check out the Subconscious Millionaire System linked below. This is about changing your mental programming at the root level so that discipline becomes your default state instead of something you have to force. Real transformation happens in the subconscious, and that's exactly what this system is designed to rewire. Now, let's get into the actual system, the complete framework that you can implement starting today to make No Fap sustainable for the long term. This isn't theory. This is the practical application of Stoic principles to one of the hardest challenges modern men face. Step 1 is to control your environment with absolute ruthlessness. Seneca said something that should be written on every wall. Avoid what weakens your character. Your environment is either making discipline easier or making it harder. There is no neutral. Concretely, this means you need to remove easy access to anything that triggers you. Set up filters and barriers on your devices that create friction between you and temptation, and completely avoid situations where you're alone, passive, and bored, because that combination is where most relapses happen. Most men fail No Fap because they keep themselves in an environment that's designed to make them fail, and then they wonder why willpower isn't enough. Step 2 is to structure your day so tightly that temptation has nowhere to grow. Understand this clearly. Temptation thrives in emptiness, in unstructured time, in boredom that you haven't actively planned to counter. When you have hours of unplanned free time where you're just consuming content and scrolling mindlessly, that's when the urges become overwhelming. Create a powerful morning routine that sets your state for the entire day. Block out time for deep work where you're fully engaged in challenging tasks. Schedule daily physical training that exhausts you in a healthy way. And plan your evenings so you're never just sitting there with nothing to do wondering how to fill the time. Step 3 is to anticipate temptation before it arrives using a classic Stoic technique called negative visualization or premeditation. Before your day even starts, sit down for 2 minutes and imagine the situations where you're most likely to be tempted. Maybe it's late at night when you're tired. Maybe it's when you're stressed from work. Maybe it's on weekends when your routine breaks down. Whatever your personal triggers are, visualize them clearly, and then decide in advance exactly how you're going to respond when that moment comes. This pre-decision is incredibly powerful because when the actual temptation arrives, you're not making the choice in a moment of weakness. You're simply executing a decision you already made when you were strong and clear-headed. Step 4 is to practice voluntary discomfort regularly to build your tolerance for frustration. The ancient Stoics deliberately trained themselves to be uncomfortable. They took cold baths, they fasted intentionally, they pushed their bodies through physical challenges, not because they were masochists, but because they understood that discipline is a muscle that gets stronger with training. When you regularly expose yourself to manageable discomfort, you build the mental strength to resist urges when they arise. Cold showers every morning teach your brain that you can override the impulse for comfort. Fasting teaches you that cravings pass if you just wait them out without reacting. Physical discipline teaches you that you're capable of far more control than you think you have. Step 5, and this is where most people completely miss the point, is to shift your identity at the fundamental level. This is not about saying, I'm trying No Fap, or I'm doing a No Fap challenge like it's some temporary experiment you're running. This is about declaring to yourself with complete conviction, I am a disciplined man, not trying to be, not working toward being, but already identifying as someone who has mastery over their impulses. When your identity shifts, your behavior follows automatically because you're no longer fighting against who you think you are. You're simply acting in alignment with who you know yourself to be. This identity transformation is the difference between white-knuckling through No Fap with constant struggle versus living it naturally as an expression of who you are. Let's talk about what actually happens when you commit to this path, because understanding the phases helps you not quit when things get difficult. Phase 1 is resistance, and this usually hits hardest in the first week or two. You'll experience irritability because your brain is used to getting easy dopamine and now it's not getting it. You'll have strong urges that feel almost physical in their intensity. You'll feel bored with things that used to entertain you because your reward system is recalibrating. All of this is completely normal and actually a sign that the process is working. Your brain is fighting to maintain its old patterns, and that fight feels uncomfortable. Don't interpret discomfort as failure. Interpret it as necessary adaptation. Phase 2 is rebalancing, which typically happens somewhere between 7 and 14 days, depending on your individual biology and how deep your patterns were. This is when you start noticing genuine changes. Mental clarity improves significantly, like a fog is lifting from your thinking. Your ability to focus on challenging tasks gets noticeably stronger. Your physical energy increases in a way that's hard to describe, but impossible to miss once you experience it. This phase is encouraging because you're getting tangible evidence that this actually works, that you're not just torturing yourself for no reason. Phase 3 is stability, and this is what you're aiming for as your new baseline. Discipline starts to feel natural instead of forced. The compulsive quality of the urges decreases dramatically. They still appear sometimes, but they don't have that overwhelming grab-you-by-the-throat intensity anymore. Your confidence increases in all areas of life because you know at a deep level that you're in control of yourself, and that knowledge changes how you show up in every situation. This is where No Fap stops being a challenge or enduring and becomes simply how you operate as a person. Phase 3 is stability, and this is what you're aiming for as your new baseline. Discipline starts to feel natural instead of forced. The compulsive quality of the urges decreases dramatically. They still appear sometimes, but they don't have that overwhelming grab-you-by-the-throat intensity anymore. Your confidence increases in all areas of life because you know at a deep level that you're in control of yourself, and that knowledge changes how you show up in every situation. This is where No Fap stops being a challenge or enduring and becomes simply how you operate as a person. Now let's be brutally honest about why most men fail at this despite having good intentions and genuine desire to change. First, they have no vision beyond, I should stop doing this thing. That's not enough to sustain you through the difficult moments. You need a compelling vision of who you're becoming and why that matters more than temporary pleasure. Second, they have no structure in their daily life to support the change they're trying to make. They keep the same routines, the same environment, the same patterns, and then wonder why they keep getting the same results. Third, they try to fight this purely on an emotional and willpower level, which is exhausting and unsustainable because emotions fluctuate and willpower depletes. Fourth, and this is the deepest issue, they have no system for reprogramming their mental patterns at the subconscious level where the real habits live. Here's the central point that you need to understand. If your subconscious mind has learned to associate stress with pornography as a coping mechanism, if it's been conditioned to respond to loneliness with pornography as a comfort, if it automatically reaches for pornography when you feel frustrated or disappointed, then no amount of conscious willpower is going to permanently break those associations. You will relapse, not because you're weak, but because you're trying to override deep programming with surface-level decisions. Real change requires rewiring those subconscious patterns, not just trying to overpower them with willpower every single day, forever. Let me leave you with the most important message of this entire video. No Fap is not about purity. It's not about being morally superior to other people. It's not about shame or guilt or proving anything to anyone. No Fap is about freedom. Freedom from being controlled by your impulses. Freedom from the cycle of craving and regret that keeps you stuck in patterns you hate. Freedom to direct your energy toward building something meaningful instead of wasting it on momentary pleasure that leaves you empty. That's what the Stoics understood that we've forgotten. Discipline isn't restriction. Discipline is liberation. The Stoic framework gives you everything you need to succeed at this. Learn to observe your urges instead of identifying with them. Anticipate temptation before it arrives and decide your response in advance. Structure your environment and your day to make discipline the path of least resistance. Practice voluntary discomfort to build your capacity to resist what feels good in the moment. Transform your identity so you're not fighting against who you are, you're acting in alignment with who you are. These principles work, but only if you actually implement them consistently instead of just intellectually agreeing with them. If you're serious about mastering your impulses and rewiring your mindset for discipline and wealth at the deepest level, check out the Subconscious Millionaire System linked in the description below. Real change starts in the subconscious, and that's exactly what this system is designed to transform. The question isn't whether you can do this. The question is whether you're willing to do what it actually takes. Stop relying on motivation and willpower that disappear when you need them most. Start building systems and identity that make discipline inevitable. Your future self is depending on the decision you make right now.